Welcome Chromian to Lesson 1. In this video, we'll take our first real steps with Rell by creating an entity, defining an operation to store data on-chain, testing it, and writing a query to retrieve it. Let's get started by defining our first entity. Here's the entity we're going to define, a structure called book with 3 fields, ISBN, title, and author. This works just like a table in a relational database, and each book we store will have a unique ISBN as its key. Let's put this in the entity's Rell file. I'm pasting that into entities, and while not strictly necessary, I'm adjusting the spacing to match what my system expects to get rid of some of these squiggly lines. So this defines your book entity with ISBN as the primary key and 2 additional fields, title and author. Next we'll add your first operation. This will allow us to insert books into the blockchain. We'll define create book. This is an operation, so it's like a public function that alters the state of your Dapp. Paste it into operations, and again I'll adjust the spacing. The create keyword is what inserts a new book. Because this changes the Dapp's state, calling an operation requires signing and sending a transaction to the blockchain. Here's how that works out. The user signs a transaction and sends it to a Chromia node. The node validates it, updates the blockchain, and lets Rell insert the new book into the entity/table. And finally, the user gets confirmation whether the transaction was confirmed or rejected. And as good developers, we should add a test for the operation. The test runs 2 operations, each creating a book, then querying and checking that both books are there with the correct data. Let's try running it. If everything is working, you should get a similar message. Alright, since the test worked, let's try running the operation on a local node. First we'll start the node. Right, I've already run this project before and my local database still has the previous configuration. To start from a clean slate, I'm going to add the wipe flag. That clears the database and lets me start over fresh. And there we go. The node is initialized. I'm going to start up another terminal for interacting with it. Now I'll try sending a transaction that adds a book. If everything is working, you should get a similar confirmation. But let's see what happens if we try to add the same book one more time. This time the transaction is rejected. Under the hood, the hash or the unique fingerprint of the transaction is identical to the one we just sent, and the node sees that as a duplicate. To get around that, we can use the NOP flag. It stands for no operation. It just adds a unique element, probably some incrementer like a timestamp, so the hashed fingerprint becomes unique. And that's all it does. The operation itself doesn't change at all. It just becomes unique, so the node will accept it. Or, in our case, it actually gets rejected again. We overcame the duplicate transaction issue, but now we're trying to insert a book with the same ISBN as before, and since ISBN is defined as a key, that means it has to be unique too. If you change the ISBN, the book will go straight through. Try it. Next we'll add a query to retrieve those books we store. This defines the getAllBooks query. We'll put it in the query's Rell file. And you don't need to, but I like adjusting the formatting to get rid of the squiggly lines. The add operator is used to query entities, and the curly brackets are for filtering. Let me show you where to find further information. head over to the docs at docs.chromia.com, click Rell, Language Features, then Database Operations, and finally Overview. Here you'll find many useful details related to querying and filtering, including how the add operator works and how to structure filters. Alright, let's go back and update our test to use the query. First we update the import line to include the new Get All Books. Then we add this test function. Just like the earlier test, we create 2 books using createBook. Then we run the getAllBooks query and finally assert that the result contains exactly those 2 books. Let's run the tests and see if it goes as we expect. And indeed the tests pass and all is good. Finally, let's run the query directly on our local node. My node is still running, so I'll just update it. But if you need to restart yours, remember that you might need to clean it using the flag /wipe. Sometimes it takes a moment for the update to apply. It's usually resolved when the next block is produced. So if your query fails, just wait a moment and give it another try. This one worked on the first try. That's nice. That's it for this video. In the next one, we'll keep building and create a related entity. So stick around, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the next video.